Hello and welcome to the Week 9 episode of the No Huddle Football Podcast. I am your host, Chris. With me, as always, Ryan. What's going on, man?
Not too much. Not too much. I've given up on fantasy football. I'm just done. Oh, I have to beat you. That's about the only thing I have to look forward to this year. Now I'm pretty much done.
That's it. This week coming up, Week 10. This is your Super Bowl this year.
Yep.
It's been a tough year for you. A lot of tough breaks. I see you have some more injuries. I think this week.
Likely, I haven't even looked at my roster since like Sunday night. I didn't even watch the game yesterday. I'm just
Yeah,
I'm just out of it.
Dallas Goddard got hurt.
Yeah, he fractured his
You
forearm.
got Cam Akers. Cam Akers, I think, is done for the year. Yeah, that's another running back you're down.
I can't.
It's been a brutal year.
Yeah. Whatever.
Welcome to my 2 years ago, man. It was rough.
All that matters is keeping that bad boy right there. That's all that matters.
Right there.
It'll remain.
We shall see. Watch, your team's gonna have like the performance.
I'm hoping the 1 week. It's the 1 week.
Yeah, this is it. My team's gonna do like 50 points. We've been, pretty good so far. What am I? 6-3, 6-3 right now. Got your 2-7. Your team's gonna come out firing 150 points. Mine's gonna get like 65. I can feel it. It's coming.
Let's hope.
A lot of. I can't make a good sit-start decision to save my life.
Me either, apparently.
Which is always what's plagued me.
Left a 22-point tight end on my bench. Needed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Goddard got hurt, though, so that's a little different, I had Burrow on my bench instead of using Tua. That was a difference of 10 points. I was kind of leaning towards Burrow, and then I just said, no, I'm just going to roll with it. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Stevenson, Ramondre Stevenson, cannot figure this guy out.
Yeah.
I told Josh.
He's an enigma.
I told Josh, I said, I said, every week that I put him in, 4 points. Take him out, 15 plus points. That's just the way it works. And then sure enough, I said, okay, he's had a few bad weeks. Time to pull him out, 20 points.
See, like I was... sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then if you also look at my team, I had not only a goose egg with Michael Thomas, plugged him in because I wanted his consistent 8 points because I knew this was going to be a close match. He's gotten about 8 points or more every game, except for this week when I've plugged him in. And then I decided to look at the Giants defense because I needed a plug and play defense since your girl stole my defense for the week, Steph.
Yeah.
Went ahead and took my Saints defense. She outbid me by $1.
It's one more.
And so I decided to go roll the dice with New York Giants defense, who have been really good the last 4 weeks. They were going to go play Raiders, who have been struggling, which we'll talk about more later. -1 points. So I had a 0 and a -1 and won by a fraction of a point.
Well, my Brownies defense did all right, 25 points for me. But leaving Dalton Schultz on the old bench, it was a hard decision. I didn't want to put 2 tight ends in, but that was like honestly the best choice that I should have. Like looking at like down like my bench players, I could have maybe switched to another wide receiver, but having 2 tight ends was my best bet there. But who would have thought that, Dalton Schultz would have had 10 receptions for 130 yards and a touchdown, not me.
Yeah. Right. And then, the move you would have had to have put in a second tight end and take out Chris Godwin. That's a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that decision. Yeah. You can't be mad about that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Oh. But minus the football aside, I thought it was a very exciting week of football. One of the best weeks of football, probably of the year so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, there was a lot of good matchups. At least on paper in the beginning, there were some good matchups. Some didn't pay much, but we had the Dolphins and Chiefs. That one was a little underwhelming. You had the Ravens and Seahawks. I think Seahawks didn't quite show up, but you also had the Eagles and Cowboys, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the Bills, Bengals. So, I mean, there was a lot to look forward to. But we're going to start with the Texans over my Bucks.
Called it.
Of course. We got to talk about CJ Stroud again and his what is now a historic day for him for a rookie. I'm sure his cleats or the jersey or something will be in the Hall of Fame by like next week or something.
Yeah, for sure. What a game.
That stat line is insane. 470 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, that is nuts. And of course, had to come again, my Bucks in that secondary that I don't know what was going on this week. They were playing the prevent defense at the end there, which just didn't work.
Yeah, like the last drive, like after the Bucks went up, and they just like the Texans just marched down the field. It looked like the defensive backs were like already done with the game. Like, oh well, we're out. Like they just walked right on down. I'm like, oh my god, poor Baker, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he put together that awesome, what should have been game-winning drive. Everyone was all excited. A little bit of time left on the clock, but man, that should not have been too much time. A minute for a rookie quarterback should not be considered too much time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They were playing back. They looked like they were playing back saying like, oh, we don't want to give up the big over-the-top 50-yard play. But we'll give up the underneath 30-yard plays 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that's good math.
Yeah, right. We didn't give up the big 50-yarder, but we gave up 90 yards over 3 plays or whatever it ended up being.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a rough one.
Do you think at this point that the Panthers are having a little bit of buyer's remorse with their rookie quarterback, watching CJ Stroud go out here and look this good, or is it still super early?
I think it's still too early. Like it's so hard to really judge. Like what do the Panthers have? I mean, I'm not saying like the Texans are stacked by any means, but they look serviceable. You know, like people draft Nico Collins, people draft Dalton Schultz, in fantasy wise. I'm saying, like they take people from that team. So obviously they're not a bad team. It just coaching was an issue. Doesn't seem like it's an issue anymore.
Yeah.
But the Panthers, we got some work.
They've got a lot of work to do. Man, so Stroud, who's up against next week? He's got to go into Cincinnati. That might be a little tough because the Bengals are 4 wins in a row right now. They're looking pretty good. Then you got the Cardinals at home. That should be nice for them. Jaguars at home.
Might lose.
Okay, that's going to be a little tough. And then you have the Broncos at home. So
no. Easy send off.
I feel like, I feel like we're going to see. Oh, and then he's got the Jets on the road. I don't know. I think we're going to see plenty more CJ Stroud highlights here in the next month.
For sure. He's only getting better, it seems, which is terrifying.
I mean, yeah. But I'm glad to see the Texans. They seem to finally have their franchise quarterback after all that mess with your team's now franchise quarterback.
I don't know if that would say franchise, but he's there.
Yeah. He's there. He's another name to add to the jersey in a year or two, right?
Yeah, probably, honestly. Let's see what they get out of him this year. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, looking all right so far. I didn't realize how little of I don't know if it's I was watching some of the Bucks game because I was obviously watching Red Zone as well, but they really put that game on CJ Stroud's back because they only rushed 17 times for 53 yards.
Yes,
so they were really putting the ball in his hands, asking him to go out there and win the game. And I'll say this, whenever just watching him, back in the pocket to throw, like he looks not like a rookie. Like he looks like he's been there for a while. He doesn't look panicky. He doesn't look like he doesn't know what he's doing or just trying to hurry and make a play. So he's looking pretty good there.
Yeah, I mean, college-wise, like he's shredded teams, while with Ohio State, like some highly ranked team never beat Michigan, but, still did great.
Yeah. Still did great despite that fact, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
And then we had over in the Vikings game.
Well, yeah.
They were supposed to be getting their new rookie quarterback coming in for the injured Kirk Cousins. That lasted all of, I don't even know how long.
5 for 6, 78 yards.
Yeah. Not nearly as long as we thought it would. And then in comes Josh Dobbs.
Saves
having
the day.
just been traded, kind of like what Baker did last year.
Yeah,
remember whenever he got traded to the Rams, and then he came in and he beat somebody. I don't remember who he beat, but nobody was expecting that. But you have the same situation. Josh Dobbs coming in. You know, they're saying the whole thing of he didn't even know half the people's names in the huddle. Just shows you how little time. And it's, on top of that, I think one advantage that Baker might have had is that he went into the game as the starter. He got some of the first team reps in practice that week.
I think so, yeah.
Whereas Josh Dobbs was not getting the first team reps.
He probably didn't even practice.
To be the backup.
He probably didn't even practice.
Yeah.
He's probably like there filling out paperwork.
Traded, yeah, like he got traded on a Tuesday. I don't know if he had to hop on a plane Tuesday night, like just pack your bags and go, or did he leave Wednesday morning or whatever? And so you only have a couple of days at that point to try and get on board. And
the video of him teaching his like cadence to the center, like before he was like, damn. Good on y'all for getting it together, but damn, that sucks.
That was, I saw that video that you tagged me in there, and that's wild. But hey, a good veteran move there.
Yeah.
That hey, I need you guys to learn my cadence and learn what it's going to sound like out there. And the fact that they did this on the road too. So what was he like in Arizona? Probably had to fly up to Minnesota to turn around and fly down to Atlanta.
Like, I mean, yeah, likely. It's pretty brutal.
They said he's like extremely smart, and the fact that he was able to just pick up stuff on the fly. I heard that Kevin O'Connell was kind of helping to break down some plays for him, kind of help him out in the huddle.
Yeah.
But just the fact that, man, I mean, what do you get? Like 3 seconds to throw the ball in the NFL before people are coming at you. And, and so you're having to take in all that information, trying to process it in your head because you just learned it or are still learning it.
I mean, it shows
actually go out there and make plays.
It just shows you what like it takes to be a professional quarterback. You know, like that takes a lot. He's able to do it. Good for him.
I'm wondering. I assume he would be the starter again next week. Well, because
I think he would have to.
Probably knocked out.
I don't remember what his injury was, but I don't. Yeah, it'd have to be Josh. They have to sign someone else too, right? Because like they'll need a reserve if Hall is out, so they'll have another quarterback. Yeah,
I want to say it was a concussion that knocked him out.
So
I saw the hit, man.
Couple weeks.
Got lit up. He was trying to scramble in and make a play, and man, that defense closed on him so fast. I thought he was going to walk in on the touchdown, and those guys came in so fast and just knocked him out. Because he got sandwiched between two of them.
That's the welcome to the NFL moment, you know?
Yeah. It was bad. But good on Josh Dobbs. I think he's been on, 6 teams.
He was in Cleveland.
November of last year.
He was in Cleveland last year, I believe. Or the year before. Yeah, it was relatively recent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think since November of last year, I think he's been on Cleveland twice. So he's been on 6 teams, but 5 different franchises. So he was at Cleveland, went to a couple other places. He was at Cleveland again, went down to Arizona, and now up at Minnesota. So, but I mean, pretty impressive stat line. He also, like CJ Stroud, had a game-winning drive. Went 20 of 30 for 158. But again, Jaron Hall was in there for a little bit. 2 touchdowns, including the game winner, which that play was super exciting. Also had 7 rushes for 66 yards and a touchdown. I'd be real concerned watching him run around, knowing that that's it. You don't have any more quarterbacks.
Like, put the fucking punter out here, dude. Stop running.
Yeah. Get down.
I mean, you never want to see that situation by any means, like people getting hurt, but it would also be very interesting to see that situation of like, you got no one, dude. What are you doing? Like beyond reserves, beyond like maybe someone who played quarterback in college. Like you got no one, dude. What are you doing?
That was going back a minute to the Bucks game. I remember this now. Did you see their kicker got hurt?
No.
For the Texans.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the running back came in, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You know where he played before the Texans?
No.
The Bucks.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was like a down the depth chart, fourth, fifth stringer. He was mostly a special teamer. But yeah, he was there last year, the year before. And yeah, so he was like the emergency kicker. So he was able to come in and
1 for 1.
Help them win the game. Yeah, 1 for 1 on a good sized field goal there. So, but I don't know. That would be rough because I think we saw that the COVID year with the Broncos when all their quarterbacks were ruled out because they violated the COVID rules. And we had like that receiver that had to be a quarterback, and that was just hard to watch. It was like everyone was just lining up to tee off on him. Yeah. Like, yeah, it was like he was like a receiver that played in like high school or something, and it was bad.
I would just run Wildcat, dude. Like, why aren't you just doing Wildcat like all day? Don't even put a quarterback back there. Just do it.
I think was Cam Akers their super emergency quarterback, but now like I said, he's hurt too.
That's what I'm looking at it, but it says 0 for 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and he was sacked once. So maybe.
Unless he was doing a Wildcat thing, but if you're doing Wildcat, you usually can at least somewhat throw. So I don't know. They've got a situation there to figure out. They're tough breaks for them in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit rough.
Yep. And then the other, okay, not as close, not as exciting, but we were happy to see it game would be the Raiders. Debut of their new coach, Antonio Pierce. Josh Hall is gone. And the Raiders, man, they showed out big time.
Yeah, they look like a serviceable team.
Yes. 30-6 over the Giants.
I mean, it is the Giants. Yeah, exactly. It is the Giants, but still, yes.
But this is a team that, looking at their games this year, haven't put up 20 points all year. And they threw up 30 in this game. And that was including playing the Bears. Okay, they put up 21 against the Patriots. That was their highest up until this point. But the Patriots, they put up 12 points against the Bears. They put up 17 points against the Broncos. Like, this team was looking really bad. I'd heard all week about the locker room seemed to be adapting, or like they really liked Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I didn't even realize he was a coach on that team.
Yeah, neither. At all.
Yeah, I had no clue. So I was all right. And then for his first coaching game to get to go up against his old team was kind of cool to see. But the offense, that's the thing, is because he's a defensive coach and the offense was clicking. But they did also get rid of their offensive coordinator, I believe, too, right? Because they cleaned house. I mean, they got rid of the GM. I don't think that obviously didn't have an impact on this game.
Maybe.
Your head coach being gone, your offensive coordinator being gone.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly shows that was the issue. I mean,
yeah.
Josh McDaniels is horrible.
Well, I think we all knew he is the worst. He should never
again
be allowed to coach again.
Never again.
I don't know who would be crazy enough to give him a shot. Because the only team that I would think that I would say, oh, if there's this really bad coach out there and somebody that would be willing to give him a shot, I would say it's the Raiders. Their franchise and their history. But now that they've already
Raiders
done
don't
it,
even
I don't
like
see
you.
anyone is doing it.
The Raiders don't even like you.
You can't even get a job at the Raiders, so good luck.
Yeah, I think, like I said last week, an expansion team, if that ever happens, is about the only way where they're like, we have to fill this slot.
Too many choices.
Yeah.
They can call me and you. We'll each take a side of the ball. You don't have to go through Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, sure we'll do a better job. Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell. I always want to call him Adrian O'Connell, but Aiden O'Connell.
Is it Farva? Yeah.
16 for 25. Yeah, Farva. 209 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. The offense was running through Josh Jacobs, mostly 26 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Jacoby had the one. Myers. Yeah, the end around.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely. That was
good to see.
There was a video that I saw of them. Yeah, after the game, like it seemed like they really enjoyed it. And then I also read an article about how like they had Josh McDaniels had Antonio Pierce come in there like talk to the team, and he was like talking about like in 2007 when they beat the Patriots and stuff, and then Josh McDaniels got all upset. He's like, "Don't talk about the Patriots like that," and he was like, "Fuck you, dude! Like, I'll talk about everyone I beat you."
Yeah, don't be a salty bitch.
Yeah.
Luckily, maybe the Raiders will have a little bit of momentum here because after carving up the Giants, on deck next is the Jets, who just got carved up last night on a very boring game that I turned off at about halftime.
I didn't even turn it on. I knew it was going to be terrible.
Yeah. I just wanted to watch a little bit of it. I enjoy watching Justin Herbert play, but even he wasn't looking super great. So
yeah, I had 0 I was like, Keenan Allen touchdown, so I was not happy to wake up to that.
Yeah. That was the thing, is I didn't have anything on the line in fantasy, and I'm like, so whatever. I don't care anymore. But that might be able to help them jumpstart and get a couple of wins going, but then it's going to get really tough after that when they have to face the Dolphins and Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. So might be short-lived. But you like to see that video like you talked about from after the game where everybody was just chilling in the locker room. The mood was light. They're all like smoking cigars and everything. So that was good for them.
Hopefully they're cigars.
And being that we are in week 9, kind of an odd number of weeks now in the NFL, so we're going to call this our mid-season awards. Just have a couple random categories here that we'll go through. Start off, I mean, some of them random, but first off, league MVP. Who do you think looks like your league MVP right now?
Ooh, right now?
Yeah, through 9 weeks. If it ended right now today, who do you think is either will be or should be the league MVP?
Like, I mean, it's probably the same person that's probably going to be defensive MVP, and I'd say Myles Garrett, dude. He's the only, like, I'm not saying this because I'm a Browns fan by any means, but just watching things, like, he's the only person that's, like, really standing out to me doing, like, anything above just whatever. Like, he's not, or, I mean, other players, like, yes, they have great games and they have shit games. Like, he's consistently wreaking havoc, and I love it. But and also, I'd love to see a defensive MVP, like an MVP, league MVP defensively. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Definitely think he's deserving of it. Any game that I've watched of the Browns, he's always wreaking havoc in the backfield. I'll never forget that first game against the Bengals, where he just is mimicking that he's dribbling the ball about to go in for a layup and then goes in and gets the sack. I'm like, what a boss move right there.
Oh yeah, he's a machine. I absolutely love him.
Yeah. Yep. I think right now, because it always is, it seems like it's a quarterback award, right? I think it's between 3 people right now. You got to look. I would say the front runner is probably Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, it's
who was the lead leader in interceptions for a hot second as well, which is odd.
Yeah, that is weird. I think it's between him, Jalen Hurts, who I think Jalen Hurts would be number 1 if he could cut back on the interceptions, because I know he's got quite a bit of interceptions.
A little too gun happy. Is it just a little too happy? I mean, he has great receivers, don't get me wrong. I would be throwing all over the place too, but yeah, the interceptions suck.
Yeah. But I think all of his passing touchdowns, and you got to consider any of his rushing touchdowns, and then all the first downs on 3rd and short and 4th and short that he is getting. I mean, that's what an MVP is. Somebody that if you didn't have him on your team, you're probably going to win a few less games. And the brotherly shove has become such a critical part of their game.
Yep.
And that's why I think they have they're a league best 8-1 right now.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, which is the best record in the league.
No surprise.
So I think you could definitely make a case for him. And then I think maybe a little bit of a dark horse, if you want to call that, or in 3rd, I would say is Lamar.
Yeah.
The Ravens are quietly having a very good year because everyone's talking about a bunch of other teams and not a lot of people are talking about the Ravens.
Yeah, I think that's more so like the fact that the Steelers and the Browns are surprisingly good. It's like the whole division's good, so like the Ravens are just doing their normal thing, but it's just getting lost in the sauce,
Yeah. And there's just been all this talk of all these other AFC teams between the Jets. We're watching them every week because of expectations versus reality. You have the Bengals starting to make a comeback. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Who else are we watching over there? You got Buffalo is in the headlines a lot nowadays. And so it's just like they're very quietly a 7-2 team. It's quite of a 7-2 team as there ever has been. So I think he could definitely be in the mix. Out of those 3, though, if I had to pick, I would still say it's Jalen Hurts, though, just because of the rushing side that's been such a big part of their game. So next we'll do Coach of the Year so far. Who do you got as your Coach of the Year through 9 weeks?
Who would I say, coach-wise? Probably D'Amico Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for what he has, I think they're doing pretty good, and especially like how that team was just a few years ago, like the stigma around it. Yeah. They don't seem so bad. They seem like a regular football team, which is good to say. Like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for sure that'd probably be a good pick for me.
I just hope that the Texans owners stick with him, even if he doesn't have a winning record this year. Probably won't. It just seems like a lot of these guys, they give them like 1 to 2 years to like turn around their franchise, and then they're like, "Oh, you didn't do it yet. You're out."
I need you to in 2 years. I need you to perfectly draft 53 men to get me to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Like. I feel like you got to give a coach, unless there's a culture problem like there was with Josh McDaniels or Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Otherwise, you got to give him, I want to say like at least 4 years.
Yeah, that's 3, 4 or 5,
but at least 4.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, that's similar to how I feel about like college. Like when teams are like hire a coach or schools hire a coach. He's gone for 2 years. I'm like, of course. Like, he never recruited anyone that fit his team. Like, of course.
Yeah. Or the people that he recruited, they were only freshmen or sophomores, and they didn't really
get no time to develop.
And yeah, you gotta give them time. I think 4 years is the right amount of time.
Yeah.
For me, I am gonna go with Dan Campbell for the Lions.
Yeah. That's good
because I mean, you think about how bad this Lions franchise has been forever, and there was a lot of hype going into this season about the Lions, and that sometimes can make things difficult if there's a lot of hype and a lot of attention surrounding your team. And I think that they've handled it so well. I think I also got to give it to him because a few years ago when I was hearing all of his interviews talking about biting people in the kneecaps, I was like, this guy isn't going to last. There's no way. This guy's a little out there. I mean, I like the energy, but you're a little out there. And here he is. He's got this team. They're doing some good stuff there. 6-2, top of their division. You got to feel like they're finally, like, I'm rooting for them to win their division for the first time since the 90s.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Aiden Hutchinson's on the team, of course, so I'm a big fan. So.
Yes. Yeah, and he's a big part of it too, man. That was such a good draft pick for them.
I knew it too.
I don't even remember who got drafted ahead of him at this point.
Who cares?
Yeah. What was he number 1 or was he number 2?
I know.
I feel like he was number 2.
I know there was the three of them that were like I couldn't remember right now, but I want to say it was like the three of them, and I thought he was going to go 1. I really thought he was going to go 1. I thought he did slip. You're on the Google machine now.
Yeah, I want to see who was. No, that's not what I want to look for. Yeah, because he was number 2 in 2022. So who was number 1?
Was it what's his face on the Eagles? Devontae Smith? Or is it a quarterback? A useless quarterback.
No. No. It was another defensive guy. It was Trayvon Walker.
Okay, well, acceptable
For the Jags. I mean,
yeah,
they're doing all right. But I thought Aiden was gonna go 1 over Trayvon, maybe. But I mean, good for Aiden because now he gets to play in Detroit, where he was at with Michigan. So
yeah, I know he's move the stuff from the dorm to Detroit. It's like 30-minute drive.
Next up for our midseason awards, teams that has impressed you the most.
The most, huh?
Yeah, who's impressed you? Maybe you had some low expectations and they did better, or
I would have to say the Browns.
Average expectations. Browns.
I have to say the Browns.
Shockingly, they have a winning record.
You know that I shoot, for them to have like maybe a 500 record every year. That's what I think every year, but this is looking pretty good. I'll take this this early on. Yeah, it usually would be the reverse. Instead of 5-3, they'd be 3-5. That's what I'm used to.
Yep. Doing a little better. And I saw that if the playoffs started today, that whole division would be in.
It's so crazy.
Like you would have the Dolphins from the east, Jacksonville from the south, Kansas City from the west, and the entire AFC North in there. Like that's weird to think. In a division that has the Browns and the Bengals. Imagine if you said this 10 years ago. That in 10 years, halfway through the season, that whole division is going to be in the playoff picture.
I mean, mathematically, it had to happen. Like it just.
Like we would have thought that we were all thinking maybe that could be a possibility for the AFC West. What last year, the year before?
Yeah.
Because all those teams were getting better. You had Devontae Adams going there with Derek Carr. You had Russ Wilson there. You had Herbert. You had Mahomes. Everyone was talking about that was going to be the one that would get possibly all 4 of them in. And here we are. It's the AFC North instead.
Love it.
So for me, I would say team that has impressed me, I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Yep.
6-2. I think just another. If I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm looking at them right now saying, hey, this is where we could maybe be. We're not going to get there maybe this year, but maybe next year, the year after. Let's look at the Jaguars and how they had some talent there and just underperformed because we had the wrong person in place.
Yeah,
took a little time to get settled in. And I mean, Jacksonville has been historically bad. They had the 2 games back to back in London.
Mm-hmm.
They just stayed over there for over a week, had to get adjusted to all that, won both of those games. So I would say, I mean, their losses this year against the Texans, a little surprising. The other one was against the Chiefs, where they only lost by 8.
Well, at least the Texans was a divisional opponent, It's like those are a little bit tougher games.
Yeah. It was surprising it was at home, too, and they lost by 20, but it's early in the year.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I think the Jaguars, I think they're going to be good for a while now, which is weird to think.
I'm actually about it. I support all Florida teams doing well, no matter the sport. Just be better than everyone else. I would like to see it because
we always get dogged on, so it's always nice to see when Florida teams are doing good.
Even though like most of the athletes from every other team come from Florida and a couple other surrounding states, but it's like our state sucks. Texas, but enjoy California, all your winning teams with our players.
Yeah, exactly. We produce a lot of good players down here in Florida. Who do you feel is the most underrated team right now in the league?
Underrated.
Yeah.
I would probably say the Jags.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, yes, they're 6-2, but like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that people think that's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed like
Yeah.
you look like you said, the Jags are historically terrible, so like it looks hollow, but I think it's legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a team that I was talking about earlier on the show. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, their offense is looking really, really good this year. We all were wondering, with Lamar getting the big payday, was he just going to sandbag it this year? Because we see that happen with a lot of other players. And he is, that was a very public thing about him wanting a lot of money. They gave it to him. You look at their games this year: 25, 27, 19, 28, 10. Not so good. 24, 38, 31, 37 for points this year. So they were in the 30s the last 3 weeks in a row. And they've won 4 games in a row. But like I said, in the very busy AFC, they kind of get lost in the shuffle. So people don't talk about them nearly as much as probably they should. And if the playoffs started right now, they would be the number 2 seed. It doesn't even feel like that, does it? Like, you just don't hear much about the Ravens.
Yeah, they're just quietly good.
And they are, yes. So I would score them as my most underrated team. And then for our last category, for our midseason awards, who has been the most disappointing player this year, not counting a significantly injured player? So you can't count your boy Nick Chubb.
No, I would never do that to him.
That's not his fault. But like somebody that's just underperformed where you thought they might be.
Ooh. That's a tough one. Let you answer first. Let me scroll through the teams here and just give a little thought skis.
I'm going to say for me, it's been Derek Carr. I thought that he was going to adjust a little bit better than he has. He's felt very underwhelming in New Orleans. Of course, I think I picked them as the division winner. I think he's been a good quarterback. And the fact that he's always thrown up so many points when he's with the Raiders, I'm like, okay, now he has a good defense. They might run away with some games now, but just doesn't look very in sync with the receivers or with the team at times. So I don't know. I had I'm good with it because they're a division rival. Yeah. So I'm okay that they haven't been clicking, but I really thought he was going to do a lot better. At least, like, for his personal sake, I really wanted to see him do better because of the way he got pushed out of Las Vegas, which I think was a big Josh McDaniels thing.
Sure.
So I was just really hoping to see him just kind of like have that chip on his shoulder and just light the league on fire. But it's been disappointing, to say the least.
I would have to say, for me, I would say Justin Herbert. Expect a little more out of him. Yeah, it just seemed like I feel. I mean, yes, I know like a lot of his offense has been hurt, but the dude has such a cannon. I don't understand why they're not like just zipping it down the field more. I'll never understand that. Like, when you have the capability of doing it, like I can only say this as I sit here in my computer chair, not out on the NFL field. Sometimes I just don't understand.
Yeah,
I just don't get it. But yeah, I felt he would have been more higher on the statistical categories than he is currently.
Yeah, I feel like that's something we've said about him for a few years now.
I think it's coaching.
Been a little.
I think he's held back.
Coaching is definitely a problem out there. I know we were expecting him to do a little bit better this year with Kellen Moore being there as the offensive coordinator, but I think definitely head coaching is an issue. I'm honestly surprised after last year that their head coach still had a job after that whole decision he made against that Raiders game.
Oh,
he could have just sat on the ball and made the playoffs, but instead he tried to
win because he's a fucking loser.
Win, which you would have still made the playoffs. I don't know if that would have affected seeding. Like, was he looking at it? I don't remember if there was.
You're in.
Yeah. Yeah. Knee the ball. and you're in. That's it. Game over. You've made the playoffs.
Nope.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they last or if he lasts. But I think he'll probably be out this year. If they don't,
Hopefully.
If they don't really make a good playoff run, he'll probably be out.
No, I heard it was available. Josh McDaniels.
Oh God.
Never.
I would be so upset for Justin Herbert.
I wouldn't draft Keenan Allen ever again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just stay away from that entire offense.
It will not be 3 years in a row, Keenan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Break the streak right there. All right. We will wrap up this week's show with our 2 locks in an upset. Week 10, not on paper, not as exciting games this week.
Not really.
Especially kicking things off with the Panthers and Bears on Thursday night.
Ugh, what a barn burner, dude.
Awful game. So who do you got for us this week for your 2 picks, 2 locks, and an upset?
First lock will be Bills over Broncos. That's too easy to me. What did I have for the other one? Oh yeah. Let me double check if that was the one. Let me scroll back through. Oh yeah. I think Falcons over the Cardinals is a probably easy one as well. I think they're just gonna decimate them.
Okay.
And for my lock,
yeah.
I have upset. Yeah, sorry, upset. Where? So like, I was a little bit. There's a couple games that I was thinking. I was thinking maybe Texans over Bengals, maybe. But I had. Damn it! Who did I pick? Oh my god! I even went over this beforehand. I'm gonna take the Browns over the Ravens.
Browns over the Ravens. Okay, 6-point favorite for Baltimore.
Yeah, there was a 16-point. I'm trying to look for. Oh yeah, the Giants and Cowboys game. Dallas is a 16.5. I wonder who's gonna win.
That is my first lock. Yeah. That is my first lock right there. Cowboys over Giants. I'm gonna try and pick a little different than you.
Yeah.
Because the other one I had was Bills and Broncos. So I'll put Cowboys and Giants since you left that one available.
Yep.
And then I will take Seahawks over the Commanders because I think the Seahawks are a very good home team.
Oh yeah.
Even though they just got beat up by the Ravens, but they're always been a very good home team. Commanders are okay at best right now. So Cowboys, Seahawks, and then for my upset, who do we have? I'm a little surprised by that one. I'm surprised to see that the Colts are an underdog to the Patriots because it's a quote unquote home game, but it's being played in Germany, so it's really not a home game.
Yeah.
Who else do we have here? I don't think I could go with the Packers over the Steelers because the Packers are pretty.
But the Jags over the Niners, dude.
You could have the Titans over the Bucs. We have another rookie quarterback who might have himself a field day.
Oh yeah, that's true. He's probably gonna throw up 500 yards. He's gonna shatter CJ Stroud's record just back to back.
We're gonna have back-to-back weeks.
The first 600-yard passing game ever. Yeah. Welcome to Tampa Sports.
I am going to take. Let me see what they're. I'm going to go ahead and just take the Chargers at home over the 2.5-point favorite Lions.
Okay.
I don't know. Let me see real quick. How good are the Lions on the road this year? They're good in both spots. They're 3-1 both spots, but I'll just go with the Chargers over the Lions. Maybe a slip-up game.
Yeah.
Although I'll probably be wrong because they're coming out of a bye, so they're probably going to decimate them. But that's okay. That's all right. I haven't got an upset pick right yet, so we'll keep trying until I get one.
I was super close going back to back. A little controversy for mine, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, Well, that does it for this week's episode. Do you have anything for our listeners out there before we go? What are your final thoughts?
Free Michigan. Again, this is still a witch hunt. The more news that comes out, the more and more Big Ten as a whole is just an absolute mess. It's going to be great. Can't wait.
There you go. All right. That'll do it for us for this week. We will see you guys next week.